This is a custom setup analysis for the BMW M6 at Brands Hatch under these racing conditions. Grab the wheel. Welcome back to the 27. The M6, what can I say? It looks mean, sounds like a beast, but honestly it's a little bit of a prima donna. It's one of those cars that setting up properly gives me the most trouble for whatever reason. I really can't put my finger on it. You've heard me say during the tutorial series that setups are all about compromises, but the M6 sometimes seems to take away more than it gives. One test it's planted, solid, aggressive, but it'll have a touch of too much understeer, so you might have to make a slight change there. The next thing is it's tiptoeing like a ballerina on a Saturday night in Moscow. I find it the most challenging GT3 not only to set up but also to drive for several reasons. It's the most sensitive under throttle than the other GT3s. Not to say that the others aren't. They're just more predictably sensitive. The M6 is unpredictable, and Brands Hatch does not help this. The aero in the M6 can also be tricky too. It washes out more than the other GT3s, so you can't just lower the ride height and have at it. It also gives you the sense that you're driving on stilts sometimes if the setup's not properly done. The other GT3s gobble up curbs, for example. The M6, you really have to be ready for them. But I shouldn't be too critical of it because I keep coming back. And it's not because of the roomy, lush interior. Once you get it dialed in, it can be a fulfilling car to drive. Not necessarily the fastest on the track, but certainly capable. Here we are at Brands Hatch with a track temperature of, I think, 40°C. Giving you a peek behind the emerald curtain, I test these cars in solo race conditions, not practice or quali, not time trial even. It's the race where the car has to perform. But when I'm trying the other modes, I made some interesting observations. When I tried setting up the car in practice or TT, I found the car did not behave the same way in the race, which to me seems strange. In practice, I would balance the car and have good tire temp deltas, good grip balance, but when I hit the race, the car would be exponentially more unstable and quite a handful. Also, nowadays I'm trying to get leaderboards times in so you guys can simply download the build instead of copying the info. But in time trial mode, although faster, the race build feels understeery to the point where it's a struggle to get a time I think the car is capable of. This made me look into LiveTrack 3.0. I alluded to its capabilities in one of my previous patch update videos. It's industry leading. Its weather function, it can render actual clouds that travel over the track, the saturation points of the track, or wetness of specific parts can change. It has also a quite sophisticated algorithm to develop the rubbering in of a track, simulating a race weekend. From completely green to somewhat rubbered in at the end of practice to good amount of rubber at quali and then full rubber during the race. However, it also simulates dirt, offline marbling, things like that. It's really something to behold on paper. However, for us, the drivers, without something written out we can refer to and analyze before we hit the track, it's simply a guessing game. From my perspective, the car should not be well set in practice and then unstable in the race. It shouldn't be well balanced in a race and then understeering in TT. My hunch is that grip levels and optimal grip windows of the car from the tires, from front to the rear vary due to the tire width, and when the grip levels of the track change, it changes the way the tires respond. What you would expect is the car to respond the same front to rear. It simply doesn't do it. Honestly, it shouldn't be this way. My point being is maybe in the quest of perfect track condition simulating, it either does not mesh well with the tire model, or it's simply gone beyond what a casual driver hopping into a car would expect. Without written references, it's a crapshoot. Driving these cars on the edge is a joy, and the best drivers do it the best. It's an admirable skill, but predictability is the key to consistency, and these cars are way too unpredictable. But before you think I'm speaking between my butt cheeks, 80% of the player base might not even notice them using default setups. They're just too wonky. You're going to get crazy, so what's the difference between practice crazy and race crazy? I'm talking about this because I'm fine-tuning these cars. I get them to a great place, so if it feels different session to session, it sticks out like a sore thumb. In any event, let's get into the M6 at Brands Hatch. I may be somewhat of an Anglophile for saying this, but aren't these English tracks just like fantastic? I literally can't believe they held F1 Grand Prix here in the 70s. The undulations, the tight track width, the blind corners. There's no other turn in racing like turn 1 at Brands Hatch. Nowhere. So we cambered and pressured the tires for 40C. The brakes are interesting here at Brands. They have to be really on point. I find here that a lower brake pressure and more forward bias is helpful. With the undulations and cornering undulations, rotating the car late in trail braking with a rearward brake bias, you're doing it so much the rears will simply heat up too much. As far as pressure is concerned, this isn't a late breakers track. It's a brake early to get on the throttle earlier kind of track. Suspension-wise, we deviated from default quite a bit here, softening everything, springs, ARBs, and dampers. Corner entries are very important at Brands, and that little bit of extra grip allows us to make the minute adjustments when hitting the throttle, so you're just managing the throttle as you go through the corner. We raised the ride height quite a bit actually, mostly for front end aero and that turning capability. It's all about getting that nose pointed, especially when on throttle. Finally, we locked up the differential a touch. It helps to relieve the burden on the rears and helps keep the front tires within a nice temperature delta. So that's it, the M6 at Brands Hatch. I hope you enjoy the build. What I should say, and I alluded to it before, if you're taking this into time trial, it's going to feel understeery to you. So this is really a race build. I'd also like to mention that the Discord channel for the Steelcast 27 is available for anybody that wants to join up. The link is in the description below. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Take care.